Namaste, beloveds. This is Mother with Wisdom, aka Valerie Ames, and this is a Lionsgate Portal Phase 2 The Observer of Frequencies video. And beloveds is really deep. And it's taking me on journey of a journey within that is deeper than I've ever dived within myself before, than I've ever been able to truly breathe and just be and observe from a mature space of looking within without fear, without anger, without emotions, without pain, physical pain in my body, without physical, emotional pain, without mental pain, without so much structure and infrastructure and boundaries and barriers. They've been peeled away as I've been shedding layers or shedding skin or allowing certain parts of me to naturally die so that new aspects of my conscious awareness can be born and reborn. And so that's how I'm receiving it and how I'm transmitting it, transforming it, and transmuting it. So let me just get into it because there's a lot here, beloveds. So bear with me as I go through everything, and we'll get there. We'll get there. Excuse me if I'm fidgeting. Like I said, I'm grounding. I am definitely grounding as I'm getting ready to do this. Okay. Again, the title that was given for this is Lionsgate Portal Phase 2 The Observer of Frequencies. And I'm just going to read how I wrote it, how it wanted to be presented. Beloveds, there is so much expansion of my conscious awareness going on right now. It feels as if the floodgates have been opened after being blocked and forbidden to flow after so long. As you know, if you've watched my Aquarius Full Moon series of 4 videos, the second or next season, time phase of the Observer, is taking place in the Lionsgate. The Lionsgate 8-8 portal is activated by the numerology of 8 plus 8. Of 8/8, which is August the 8th. That's where the 8-8 comes in. The sun in Leo season, and the rising of the star Sirius. This combination of energy opens a galactic portal that allows high vibrational energy to be sent to Earth, which we can all tune in and connect with. The Lionsgate 8-8 portal peaks on the 8th day of the 8th month, but we are likely to feel the current of its energy before and after this date too, which also turns out to be the birthday of 2 very significant people of my past. Excuse me. My teenage best friend, Yolanda, aka Sugar Mama, and my ex-man, Michael, who was the longest relationship I had ever been in, and it was 8 years long. Coincidences? No, beloveds. These are the observing the frequencies. Ta-da! And so, like I said, for me, pay attention to the word observe and observation. And what we are observing and paying attention to and focusing on are the frequencies, beloveds. the frequencies that are being reflected, being revealed, being reborn, being renewed, um, being reborn into our conscious awareness at this time. Let me just keep going forward with what I read, or we'll be here all night. But back to the forbidden flow being released. So let me sum this up. Since the very first time I found out that Iyanla Van Zant had a school for life coaches, I knew that is what I wanted to do. About 18 years ago, fast forward to me receiving a scholarship to a life coaching program that is amazing and so on point for this phase in my life. So 18 years ago, beloved, let me turn that on. There we go. 18 years ago, I kind of figured out um, the direction I wanted to go in with my life's work, with my calling, my spiritual calling. And that was defined to me by Iyanla Van Zant as life coaching. And fast forward to 2021, and I am the recipient of a scholarship of a life coaching program. And I've been gifted this scholarship for over a year now. And I have blockages that are not allowing me to fully go through the, I'll call it an initiation, in order to receive the certificate. So there's a testing process. And they're just blocks that won't let me. And so I I'm engaged with a therapist to get to these blockages I really want to see them. And two heads are better than one. Let me read what I wrote, because I wrote all of this down. And so just bear with me, beloveds, because I am so excited. I have never been this excited before in my life, and I realize I can honestly say that because I've never been so present before in my life. So it's truly amazing to me. So grounding again. To me, being immediately confronted once again with my, oh my God, it's time to put up or shut up. I'm cursed, aka afraid of success frequency. So after what seems like ages of dithering, pauses, shutdowns, put on your granny panties and get up there and shine moments and opportunities, I find myself once again in therapy to find and communicate with the root of this frequency that has been ever present in my life as an obstacle. That results in me being permanently pregnant with various stages of procrastination, excuses, and mood swings of productivity without actualizing direct results of my own individualized success. It usually is taken over by the collective, and I get no personalized satisfaction other than it's my baby that gets adopted. New name, new parents, new life, new frequencies. Damn it. Where was I going with all this? Oh, right, the polarities of unending flow and uptight, constrictive procrastination. Being observed as my high and low frequencies in my pursuit of success. Life coaching, which I have already been doing all my life since I was a child. Let's put it all in perspective. And this is all putting it in perspective. At age 14, which I have shared numerous times, the day before my first menstrual cycle, an ancestral spirit came to me and she told me that I was, quote, a sin eater, unquote. And that's it. No explanation, nothing, nada. You're a sin eater. Boom. And throughout the years, I found out what this means for me because it has an overall meaning, but it is carried out differently by individuals, by certain cycles and seasons that are taking place. And so, let's see. Throughout the years, I've found out what this means for me. Lately, it has been observed to mean I receive, transmit, transform, and transmute energy frequencies. I used to receive and hold on to it, storing it in my body as fat until up to 600 pounds and dying, and it was being brought to my attention that I was making my children observe me slowly committing suicide. And so I stopped and I began to heal and I began this journey. And like I said, this was 1996 that this started. So some 20 years later, after observing and reflecting, overcoming fears, arriving to a conclusion of unconditional love as a final destination of this phase in my observation of existing as existence, I am finally falling into unconditional love as a state of conscious awareness with myself and with the collective, with existence itself. Okay, tying it all up back to being in therapy. Again, because two heads are better than one, from an observation point of view. I explained to my therapist, Jan, about all my hesitancy based upon my past trauma and processes to get to the other side of it. She she reintroduced me to tapping, which opened up a whole new awareness of observation and connection to frequencies through touch vibrations with the body as well as direct communication because you speak during your tapping, whether they're affirmations or what you're asking for. It's a direct communication. As introduction to gaining access to different portals, vortexes, doorways hidden within the physical bodies. And the beloveds, the physical bodies are the mental, emotional, biological, and spiritual frequencies that you house or that reside within your temple or that surrounds you or that is your essence. And once you are able to enter this doorway, you are able to receive, transmit, transform, and transmute, which causes instant healing to the essence and frequencies observed. Which brings me to the point of this particular video, observing and identifying the frequencies that are beyond the veil. In order to bring about wholeness, for years I have only been dealing with half of my healing and not able to recognize the other part that was dependent upon my option to attain full success. So, at my appointment with my therapist, I was given a set of worksheets that would turn out to be homework assignment. We went over it. It was not something that I had not encountered before or even taught before, except for one point of view that my internal observer went cuckoo for coconuts over and caused me to do all kind of cool cosmic observer stuff that I'm just becoming aware that I'm capable of doing. Okay, stay focused and get to it. Damn. Good golly, Miss Molly. Me and my writing, okay? The information packet or worksheet is titled, What Would I Be Feeling If I Were Not Feeling Shame? And being able to identify, observe, and reflect upon the differences between the authentic self, and the fictional self. Boom, right? All of this was not new to me, except the concept of not only dealing with my shame and guilt, but the empath in me also absorbing, gotta get that right, absorbing, the empath in me absorbing the frequencies and vibrations of the one who hurt you, their wide range of frequencies from all their bodies. Again, the mental body, the emotional body, the biological body, and the spiritual body. And their guilt, their shame, their anger, their fear, etc. So, beloveds, this blew me away because I am an empath, which means my way of observing is defined empathically. That's how I observe. That's how I learn. That's how I see. That's how I exist as an empath. And all this time, I've been only focusing on the self-judgment of myself, observing my feelings, my thoughts, my this, my, not at all being mature enough to consider that I have not been able to, I've dealt with my stuff, but what I have not dealt with, but what I absorbed is the people who hurt me. It's their frequencies of shame that was taken into me. So their frequencies of fear, their frequencies, their thoughts, feelings, pains, their memories, their essence was received, transmitted, transformed, and transmuted by me alchemically into my own. But due to the lack of maturity, I was not able to comprehend their portion that needed healing, that came to me directly for healing, that dumped on me for healing, for transmuting, for transmitting, for receiving, for all of that. And so this is that blockage. This is what has caused the procrastination. This is the blockages to my flow. And so, like I said, understanding and understanding this now from a place of my conscious awareness expanding, and from it being able to expand from the foundation of unconditional love. Whoa, it gets so deep, beloveds. Like I said, I woke up with this morning. I knew that I had to communicate it. I knew that I had to share this, and I had to write it down because it was so profound. Let me keep going with it. My point, I had worked on mine till there is nothing else there to observe, but the blockages remain, thus feeding my sense of failure to succeed. Okay, you've looked at this 1,000 times. You've reflected over this. You've picked it up, put it down, turned it upside down, turned it left or right. You did this with it. You've done that. What the hell else can you do with this, Valerie? You just can't get it. You're just too stupid. You're just not going to succeed at it. You're not going to get it. And all of this negative self-talk, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're not going to get it. You're not going to succeed. You're cursed. Sorry. All of this has to be reworked from a different foundation. You have to tear that down, and you have to be able to rebuild from a different foundation. And that foundation for me is unconditional love. And now I know what materials to build from. Let me keep going. Everything before was feeding my sense of failure to succeed. What I had not worked on is the connection, the addition, the portion of the shit that was dumped on me that needed to now be exercised. And exercise was like removing these demons from me. Okay? It got that deep, beloveds. In realizing that when you have been raped, when you have been molested, when you have been abused, whether emotionally, verbally, physically, or spiritually, you have to exorcise those demons, because there was a transmission, there was a reception, there was a transmission, there was an exchange, there was a transformation, and you have to transmute it. But if you're only transmuting your portion and not the other portion, then those fragments linger and they just keep adding up. And if you don't know how to see them or how to identify them, which is the observation, if you don't know how to go in there and look for this, then you can't remove it. You can't surgically go in there and remove what you cannot see. You cannot exercise, take out what you don't know is there. So it's very important to know what has been placed inside of you. And I've done several videos where I spoke of when you're having sexual relationships and you're exchanging energies, frequencies. Beloveds, we are receiving, transmitting, transforming, and transmuting energy all the time. When you're in a sexual relationship, you're doing that directly. And there is a deposit. You have received this deposit. You've received that person's frequencies within you. Juanita Bynum made a beautiful video series on that. No More Sheets, it's called. And I've done several talks about that. And I'm not getting into her own humanness of what she went through after that. I'm speaking of the wisdom that flowed through her then. Okay? That's what I observed. And that's what I still observe within myself. That we have all these sheets, all these stained sheets within us, all these stained layers. We have an accumulation of frequencies from everything that we have received, be it sexual, be it a look that we felt a certain way about, be it something that came out of somebody's mouth that we felt a certain way. There was an attachment to what was exchanged, and so it was held, even in memory, in the memory field of your conscious awareness. And you have to consciously be willing to go in there and remove it. But first you have to observe it and see it and know what it is. Know where it came from. Okay. I keep getting ahead of myself. So I'm just going to reread this, beloveds. Y'all know how I do. My point, I had worked on mine till there is nothing else there to observe, but the blockages remain, thus feeding my sense of failure to succeed. What I had not worked on is the connection, the addition of their shit dumped on me that needed to now be exercised, surgically removed by the medicine woman in me, by the healer. And this is emphasized by the old saying or adage, physician, heal thyself, which for me goes back to the Bible verse, how many times are we to forgive? 70 times 7 was the answer given in Matthew 18:22. And I consult the BibleHub.com for this information that I'm about to share. And I just want to give it to you the way it came up in me, beloveds. This is not about religion, a specific sect or teaching or anything. This is about the observation of wisdom. This is about being able to receive wisdom, being able to transmit wisdom, being able to transform it, which is interpret it and give it back how you understand it, and transmute it. Take away what does not work for you and infuse it with unconditional love. Okay? So that is what I'm doing. So if you got a problem with the Bible or where this came from, you can turn the video off and move on. That's completely up to you. But I advise you to be wise. And to be wise is to know that you know nothing. And to know nothing means that you possess the ability, the possibility to know everything, that you are capable of expanding because you know nothing. Meaning everything changes. So what you think you know in one moment might completely change in the next, simply from the conscious awareness expanding. Okay. Again, this is Matthew 18:22. And the context, the unforgiving servant. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother who sins against me? Up to 7 times? And Jesus answered, I tell you, not just 7 times, but 77 times. Because of this, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. And the cross references here are Genesis 4:24. If Cain is avenged 7-fold, then Lamech 77-fold. Matthew 8:23. Because of this, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. And the treasury of Scripture. Jesus said to him, I say not to you until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Matthew 6, verse 11, 12, 14, and 15. Give us this day our daily bread, which is the instruction of how to pray. And in those verses, forgive me as I forgive those who trespass against me. Isaiah 55:7. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. Matthew 7:19. He will turn again. He will have compassion upon us. He will subdue our iniquities. This is Micah 7, chapter 7, verse 19. He will turn again. He will have compassion upon us. He will subdue our iniquities, and thou wilt cast all their sins into the depths of the sea. And this comes from um, the commentary. This is Ellicott's commentary. 70 times 7, the use of the symbolic numbers that indicated completeness, was obviously designed to lead the mind of the questioner altogether away from any specifically numerical standard as such. So let me break that down. So with Peter asking, Lord, so and so done did this to me, I don't know how many times. I don't know how many times. How many times do I got to forgive him? He keep doing this. How many times I got to do it? How many? What's the number? And Jesus just said 70 times 7. Not just 7 times do you have to forgive somebody. 70 times 7. And you know that had to blow Peter's mind, okay? It blows my mind because we don't want to turn the other cheek. We don't want to allow or see another person's humanity when they are hurting us. We don't see their hurt. We don't understand why they're striking out. We do that with children. Although some of us who were brought up old school, you correct that child. You beat that child. You don't spare the rod. You teach that child, even as a child. You straighten that child out. There's so much to observe. There's so much to receive. There's so much to transmit. There's so much to transform. And there is so much to transmute, beloveds. And we keep wondering why we're in this loop. And it's because we only observe from our own perspective. And you're not able to heal what the whole if you can only see a fragment or a little piece of something. Um, as there was no such limit to the forgiveness of God, so there should be none to that of man. The very question as to the latter showed the inquirer had not rightly apprehended the nature and extent of the former. And so, beloveds, let me break that down to you. The mind wants a number to satisfy itself. But how many times I got to put up with this before I can do what? Do something about it? Act a fool? How many times, God, in order for me to be good, do I got to put up with it? But woo, you just wait till I get to that number. When that number is achieved, woo, I'm going to act a pure fool. Don't work that way. Don't work that way. The number was thrown out, and the number is a 7. And if you know about anything about 7, 7 is one of the mystical numbers. Okay? And so you got 70 times 7. That's a mystical paradigm for your behind, baby. Okay, let me keep going. Matthew Henry's concise commentary. Again, this is Matthew 8, chapter 18, verses 21 through 35. Though we live wholly on mercy and forgiveness, we are backward to forgive the offenses of our brothers. And beloveds, this is so true. This is so true. So many of us hold on to forgiveness as if it is a something that we can deny another or a situation. But by denying that situation, you You remain attached to it. You remain corded to it. You remain a slave of it. You remain a victim of it. You remain married to it. You remain united to it. You remain in debt to it because you haven't paid it in full. You haven't paid it forward. You've paused it right there. You have not healed it. So forgiveness is about self-healing. It's a two-edged sword. In offering that forgiveness as a sacrifice, you heal you and you heal the attachment to them. So you transmute that cord, that connection, that memory, that frequency. You will begin to observe it differently. Though we live wholly on mercy and forgiveness, we live wholly on mercy and forgiveness and God's grace. But we do not want to extend those same frequencies to others. But yet we demand it, we expect it, we take it for granted from the Creator that this is what is afforded to us. This is what we receive. But we're so narcissistic and selfish. And we want to say we're made in the image of God, but we cannot imitate this one thing. We cannot reflect this one thing of God. We cannot expand our conscious awareness around this one frequency of receiving, transmitting, and transmuting. And we wonder why we don't heal or nothing changed. We're still caught up in this loop. Backwards, it said, backwards. We are backward to forgive the offenses of our brethren. This parable shows how much provocation God has from his family on earth and how untoward his servants are. That's deep. That's deep. That's deep. There are three things in the parable. One, the master's wonderful clemency, God's wonderful clemency. The debt of sin is so great that we are not able to pay it. See, here what every sinner deserves. This is the wages of sin, to be sold as a slave. It is the folly of many who are under strong convictions of their sins to fancy they can make God satisfaction for the wrong they have done to him. Let me read that again, beloveds, and let me break it down a little bit, okay? Because, again, this is observation. This is the Lion's Gate. We are being given a portal. We're being given a doorway. We're being able to see what's on the other side of dealing with this and shedding this skin and shedding this layer or pulling this thorn out that allows you to once again begin to walk. Okay? Begin to walk upright. Begin to truthfully say, I am in the image of God. I am able to expand my conscious awareness of myself. I'm not stuck in any limited, paused observation of myself and what somebody has done to me. and what the world has done to me, and I'm stuck in it. This is about healing. This is about healing, is about, excuse me. Yeah. Healing is about staying in the flow, beloveds. It's about being present. Okay. I'm repeating this parable again, and understand why the wisdom of parables is to teach, is to observe, is to receive, transmit, transform, and transmute this story. The wisdom of it is to digest it. Number one, the Master's wonderful clemency. What is that? What is clemency? Look it up, beloveds. Clemency, allowing you to keep existing, allowing you to keep waking up, allowing you, when you go to sleep, to still have your conscious awareness be available to you, allowing you to learn, allowing you incarnation after incarnation after incarnation to get it right, to truly reflect and observe yourself and know yourself as a child of God. And not just as someone who procrastinates and will always fail and can't succeed, someone who's cursed. Like I said, this Lion's Gate is really deep, beloveds, and everything that has come before this the Master's wonderful clemency, and the use of master. Master already knows that he is God. He is in the image of God. There's no doubt. There's no question. There is nothing hidden. And the Master is aware of what expansion of conscious awareness is all about. And he's always open to receive. Also aware that lessons present themselves in many guises and disguises, many forms, many frequencies, many spectrums, from many multiverses, from many time periods or seasons. There is nothing new under the sun. The Master is aware of this. The debt of sin is so great that we are not able to pay it. See here what every sin deserves. This is the wage of sin, to be sold as a slave. So, what is a sin? To miss the mark. What are we missing the mark of? Being able to observe and know ourselves as children of God, capable of anything and everything, capable of expanding our conscious awareness to the highest standards of perfection, of knowing, of being, of creating, as an individual and as a collective. And the debt of this sin is slavery. You're a slave to your doubts. You're a slave to your fears. You're a slave to your illusions of your separation. You're a slave to the delusion that you are not a child of God, that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy of unconditional love, that you're not worthy of mercy, that you're not worthy of all these chances, all these aeons, all these seasons. All of this has been put in place by unconditional love. All you need to do is to know yourself and to believe in your connection to that frequency as that frequency itself. What holds you back is you, is your doubt, is your fear. Who are you not able to trust? Yourself or God? And the sin of that keeps you in slavery. So if you want to free yourself, you want to free your conscious awareness, you have to expand beyond your blockages. You have to expand and get beyond your fears. You have to heal the whole of you. And you get there by observing what was heaped upon you to enslave you. As I said, being raped, molested, abused, so forth and so on. You get to the point, the whole point of my therapy session that I'm speaking from was shame. And I've dealt with my own shame so long. I've said before, you can't shame me. I've been there, done that so many times, and all my life has prepared me for the frequency of shame. So shame don't affect me like it affects everyone else anymore. Okay, well, why can't you move past this and get to here? Why can't you move to this space? Why can't you move forward? Because I have not dealt with the shame of the being that dumped all that shit on me, that raped me, that abused me, that infected me, that attached me to them, that enslaved me. I have not been able to observe it in that way in order to heal it. All I saw was me. I did not see me connected to them. Well, forgive them. Okay, I forgive them. But do you really? Okay, I forgive them. Okay, but you haven't forgiven this and you haven't forgiven that and you haven't forgiven. So that's still floating around in you, waiting to be exorcised, waiting to be surgically removed, waiting to be healed. And in the meantime, you are still stuck in that space and not allowed to move forward. You cannot go through that gate until you deal with this, until you heal this. Not just deal with it, but heal it. And in healing it, you heal individual frequencies and you heal collective frequencies. So you heal, spirit is so vast, beloveds. You begin to heal the earth, you begin to heal past, present, and future. You heal so much because you are such a powerful being. But it takes unconditional love in order to even observe from the right perspective. Okay. This is the wages of sin, to be sold as a slave. That's why sacrifices were made upon altars and so forth and so on. Because universal laws dictate what is. And you have two sides of the scale, so there's always a balance that must be achieved. And the balance for our freedom is to stop being a slave, stop identifying with that frequency, to transmute everything that would keep us bound, blocked, unable to expand fully, wholly. We have to empty ourselves of our condition. It is the folly of many who are under strong convictions of their sins to fancy they can make God satisfaction for the wrong they have done to him. So we think we can, that's good, God. See, I stopped doing this, so let me move on to the next spot. I've done this. We think we can make deals with the Creator because we make them with ourselves. We lie to ourselves, so we think it's okay to lie to God. We don't see things within ourselves. We have blind spots, so we expect God to have those same blind spots. How many epochs has it been? How many worlds has it been? And we're still right here. But we were told of a second coming. That second coming is conscious awareness that is able to expand, that is not stuck, that is able to heal, that is able to manifest and create miracles for the human condition, for the human frequency, the different bodies, to heal, to bring to wholeness, to remove the scales from the eyes, to resurrect, bring back to life, to heal dis-ease, to create abundance from nothing, to walk on water, baby. Number 2, the servant's unreasonable severity toward his fellow servant. That means we want forgiveness. We want God to forgive us. Okay, we want mercy. We want grace. We want all of this. We want to ask and we want to receive. But that nigga there, nah, he don't deserve nothing. He don't need to get nothing because he did this, that, and the other, and he you just don't know. It don't work like that. That's you. That's your reflection. He reflects you. That's your frequency. That's what you tied to. If he don't get it, you don't get it. One for all and all for one. The individuals make up the collective, and the collective is formed by the individuals. God is one. One macrocosm and microcosm. One frequency. One. One, beloveds. The unreasonable severity toward his fellow servant, notwithstanding his Lord's clemency toward him. Not that we, and notwithstanding the Lord's clemency towards him, we don't understand that the sun shines on everybody by the grace of God. God don't withhold the sun from this person and that person. Oh, so and so don't like you, so you don't get no sunshine today. My thing with Trump is a frequency that needs to be observed because he is part of the human condition. He is a value in our collective sin, if that's what you want to call it. But we have to be able to observe it. And we have to be able to not just judge him, but to see that those same things that make him him, that's within us as well. And there have been times when we have maybe not done exactly what he has done. Or maybe there's been times when we've done exactly what he has done. But we want God to forgive us for those things. But don't forgive Trump. And so there is, like I said, this gate that we have to get through. There's a lot of healing that needs to take place before we can move. But we're being presented with many dimensions that will allow us to expand from our current frequency. Let me keep going. Not that we make light of wronging our neighbor, for that is also a sin against God. But we should not aggravate our neighbors wronging us, nor study revenge. Let our complaints, both of the wickedness of the wicked and of the afflictions of the afflicted, be brought to God and left with him. In other words, God said revenge is his. So when you try to look for tit for tat, and you try to do this and that, and you try to get back at somebody, universal law say you're doing it to yourself. It's going to come back to you. If you're doing wrong, wrong is going to come back to you. It's just that simple. It's not, well, they did me wrong first, so I'm doing them wrong back because they did it. Wrong is wrong. If you're doing wrong, it's going to come back to you. Period. The unconditional love of that lesson is it's going to come back on you. And when you realize that you have this ability, that you are God, and that when you do wrong, you're going to create wrong, and wrong is going to come back, you'll learn. Oh, okay, we're not going to do that no more. We're going to just do this, or we're going to do it from this point of view. And that's what we're going to receive back. And you look at that person and you say, I'm not judging you because you did that. You think you did this to me? You did that to yourself. You just watch. You just wait. Because what you do to me, you do to yourself. And you may not recognize it or be able to observe it immediately, but baby, universal laws. This is the way existence exists. Period. There is no bribing it. There is no taking a shortcut. There is no being too cute. There's none of that. What you sow, you're going to reap. Number 3, the master reproved his servants' cruelty. The greatness of sin magnifies the riches of pardoning mercy, and the comfortable sense of pardoning mercy does much to dispose our hearts to forgive our brethren. We are not to suppose that God actually forgives men and afterwards reckons their guilt to them to condemn them, but this latter part of the parable shows the false conclusions that many draw as to their sins being pardoned, though their after conduct shows that they never entered into the Spirit or experience the sanctifying grace of the gospel. Meaning that many of us do things and say, okay, that was good enough. I've satisfied God's requirements of me. And God is going to use their guilt and judge them and condemn them based upon what they did, based upon how I should have forgave them. That doesn't work like that. We're being told that if you don't fully forgive someone else, then what you do is not fully forgiven either. It's that simple. Don't get it twisted. We do not forgive our offending brother aright if we do not forgive from the heart. Yet this is not enough. We must seek the welfare even of those who offend us. How justly will those be condemned who, though they bear the Christian name, persist in unmerciful treatment of their brother? And that goes to all of those who claim the term, the word Christianity. Oh, I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian. I claim Christ. I've been baptized and crucified and washed in the blood and But baby, that's mind talk. That's chatter. If it's not in your heart, if you do not know how to show unconditional love, the same at the frequency and the level that God shows it, you are deficient in your claim. You are rejected by the very words that you proclaim. Don't get it twisted. The humbled sinner relies only on free, abounding mercy through the ransom of the death of Christ. Let us seek more and more for the renewing grace of God to teach us to forgive others as we hope for forgiveness from Him. And again, forgiveness cuts the cord of attachment. So when Jesus was up on the cross on Golgotha, the land of skulls, and He said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." You have to observe that from the frequency that it was given, that it was meant, not from a human standpoint or deficit, but from the frequency of a higher conscious awareness. That is what a Christian is. That makes you, that word, Christian, Christ-like, able to have that conscious awareness. Being able to receive it, being able to transmit it, being able to transform it, being able to transmute it. Okay? That's what made so-called Jesus Christ a son of God, child of God, was that conscious awareness, the observation of universal laws, the knowledge of the frequencies of what you tie yourself to and what you need to do to uncut or cut those ties. Forgiveness cuts the ties. But you have to forgive from your heart, from a place of conscious awareness that you understand, and not just doing it because, oh, that's what the Bible says. oh, so and so said I need to forgive. No, you do it from a place of your own conscious awareness. And you sow that seed. You know that in other reincarnations or part of your karma or whatever, you agreed to this way of being, this servitude, this job on becoming so equipped and so enamored and so washed in unconditional love that you can free yourself and you can free the collective and you can free the earth and you can free the animals and you can free the plants and you can free those without form and those with form through every generation just through your conscious awareness. That you don't need to eat the knowledge of good and bad anymore. There is no desire for that. There is no hunger for that because you know, you don't doubt anymore. Let us seek more and more for the renewing grace of God to teach us to forgive others as we hope for forgiveness from Him. Barnes notes on the Bible, till 7 times the Jews thought that a man was to forgive another 3 times, but not the 4th. So Peter more than doubled this and asked whether forgiveness was to be exercised to so great an extent. I say unto thee, until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. The meaning is that we are not to limit our forgiveness to any fixed number of times. See Genesis 4:24. Genesis chapter 4, verse 24. As often as a brother injures us and asks forgiveness, we are to forgive him. It is indeed his duty to ask forgiveness. Luke 17, verse 4. If he does this, it is our duty to declare that we forgive him and to treat him accordingly. If he does not ask us to forgive him, yet we are not at liberty to follow him with revenge and malice, but are still to treat him kindly and to do him good. Luke chapter 10, verse 30 through 37. And this was, again, from the Bible Hub commentaries of Matthew chapter 8, chapter 18 through 22. So my lesson from this Lion Gates portal and the Aquarius full moon phase 2 of the observer frequencies is this. In order to accept your divinity, you must be able to receive, transmit, transform, and transmute all energies, not just your own, but those that we perceive as our perpetrators or enemies as well. Thus the Lord's Prayer. I have been asking for deeper understanding. I knocked. The Lion's Gate portal has answered and opened up to me, allowing me to expand my conscious awareness through observations from a higher plane of existence, one that sees, observes not only my reactions and responses to frequencies, but the collectives as well, deepening a sense of oneness and the need for healing by the process of receiving, transmitting, transforming, and transmuting. Beloveds, we are to expand that process within ourselves. And to do that, all it requires is unconditional love. From yourself for yourself. So you need to start observing yourself and reflecting upon yourself from the foundation of the God self itself, from existence itself, which is unconditional love. You're not observing your frequencies through unconditional love. then you're missing the whole point. And you're not healing. In order to heal, put on those glasses, those lenses, the lens of unconditional love, and begin to see everything through that lens. Be able to observe from that lens. Let me see, this light is getting on my nerves. Okay. Okay, it's enough light, I guess. Let me keep going, beloveds. This divine deliverance through grace of wisdom of being able to observe the spiritual, psychological, and physical vicious circle, cipher, and seasons of pain being recycled and redistributed for aeons because of the knowledge of the duality observed between good and evil is a cycle that must be broken. And that cycle can only be broken through unconditional love, with unconditional love. Unconditional love is the key that unlocks the gate to your freedom, that gives you freedom to observe. We are confronted with the frequencies of observation from the predators signified, replicated, duplicated, and exposed from the likes of Trump and those of that frequency vibration. Ask yourself why. Simple. It is the Antichrist frequency, spectrum, vibration. It is to be observed and healed by receiving, transmitting, transforming, and transmuting individually as well as collectively. There is nothing new under the sun. This is what the return of the Christ conscious frequency is all about. And, beloveds, give me a moment, please. Lion's Gate. Pay attention to Lion's Gate. Pay attention to the opening and closing of portals. Pay attention to the Lord's Prayer. Pay attention to the words divine deliverance. Phase 2 of the observer of frequencies. All of this is to accept your divinity and to expand upon that as a foundation, beloveds. Remember that there is nothing new under the sun. So there have been times in your memories where you have done this before. Empty yourself of the doubts. Empty yourself of your mind. Empty yourself of your mind sabotaging you or trying to sabotage you with fears, with crusades of revenge or get them back or they did this to me, and raise your frequencies by disconnecting yourself from the cords of attachment that you have to the memories that keep replaying in your mind of someone hurting you. Okay? That is keeping you a prisoner. You are the only one that can press play and keep going forward. That can expand your consciousness so you are no longer that person that was paused. in that situation, in that circumstance, in that action, in that transaction, in that exchange. And um, this is something that separate, but also very, um, very much a key to the time and the essence and energies that need to be observed as the frequencies of this particular time. Observing the coronavirus, the crown virus. If the frequency is not put in check, its threat mutates, becomes a hybrid of all that was not fully eliminated, and becomes a super perpetrator, simply because as a whole it was not fully observed, equals received, transmitted, transforms, transmutated, healed. Form or formless, seen or unseen, human or non-human, individual or collective, all is one observation from one foundation of unconditional love. So everything that we encounter as divine frequencies is here to test us on our own awareness and ability to expand our conscious awareness into the higher realms of our own divinity as aspects of unique existence. So don't let anything take your crown from you. Don't let anything keep you from rising, ascending to get your crown, to your crown chakra of healing abilities. There are levels, and each one of those levels wants to keep you from getting your crown, wants to keep you stuck in it. Your root chakra wants to keep you there. Keep your awareness, keep your observation, keep your focus, keep your stamina, keep your desires, keep your focus there. So does your solar plexus. You have got to get to that heart in order to be able to start transforming and transmuting. Once you get to the heart, you're able to receive and transmit more with a healing ability because that heart is unconditional love. The heart forms first in the embryo. Whether you believe in the coronavirus or not, realize what it symbolizes. Realize the frequency that created it. Realize the frequency that must be used to destroy it, eliminate it, exorcise it, surgically remove it from our conscious awareness, so to speak. Understand what it symbolizes. Understand that if it's not put in check, a mutant, hybrid, more virile creature or aspect or essence or frequency or vibration is allowed to form. In other words, it's going to be a boss fight because you allowed it to get there. You allowed it to expand its own frequency. And so now you've got to deal with that higher frequency. And it wants to keep you enslaved, keep you sick, keep you attached to it, its little bitch. And so you can let everything else divide you against healing, but it is your healing, beloveds. And your healing requires your focus. It requires your unconditional love for yourself. It requires your identification as a child of God, as a higher being, as a child of existence that has destiny and purpose. And that there is nothing that you can't achieve. And there is nothing that you cannot overcome when you are equipped with unconditional love and all that it means. And when you use universal laws, everything changes. Okay, beloveds, that is enough. That is it. We'll see what arises from this. I don't know if I'm going to do a card reading behind this or not. We shall see where spirit moves me. I am spirit led, so I'm not going to jump out here and say, well, I'm going to do this and now I'm going to. If I'm led to do it, I'll do it. So just stay tuned to the channel. Look at the other videos, especially the series of the Aquarius moon. And the first video, the very first one, was dedicated to observation and what this observation that's needed for the Lion's Gate and continuing forward in the next phase of our self-inquiry. That first video in that series has to do with that, with the observation singly. And it's just like 30 minutes or 30-something minutes or something like that. But I advise you to watch that because it lays the foundation for you to receive what's coming forward. Namaste, beloveds.